Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And we will start with the main top stories and reports of the day. Cairo says it's keen on achieving economic integration, laying foundations of comprehensive sustainable development for all Africans. This came during the IntraAfrican Trade Fair 2021 in South Africa. We have more details on this report.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry has said that Cairo is keen on reinforcing its pivotal role in Africa by strengthening trade and investment relations with the countries of the continent, in addition to transferring modern technology among African countries. Naveen Gama made this statement during the opening session of the second edition of the IntraAfrican Trade Fair 2021, organized by the African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, in Durban, South Africa, from the 15th to the 21st of November. She said Cairo is making unremitting efforts to achieve economic integration with all countries and lay the foundations for comprehensive and sustainable development for all African peoples. The fair was inaugurated by Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, in the presence of the heads of 13 African countries. The Egyptian delegation participating in the opening ceremony of the exhibition included Ahmed El Fadli, the Egyptian ambassador to South Africa, and Raghi Adli, head of the Egyptian Commercial Services Office in South Africa. Gama said that the African Fair is one of the largest exhibitions held in Africa and provides a huge platform for displaying goods and services and exchanging information related to trade and investment in African markets. Gama explained that the fair is basically an Egyptian initiative. Cairo hosted the first edition of this important event, and it was organized by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, represented by the Export Development Authority, in cooperation with Afrexim Bank in December 2018. The aim was supporting African economic integration efforts, pointing out that the success of the fair in its first session is a pillar of the success of the second session and the completion of the efforts of the countries of Africa to achieve economic and regional integration.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and on this issue, glad to be joined over the phone by Dr. Raouf Ghaffar, our political analyst. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you, my dear.
Dr. Ghaffar, Cairo is taking part in the second edition of the Intra-African Trade Fair 2021, organized by the African Export-Import Bank in South Africa, actually. How do you see the significance of taking part in this event, in this exhibition, actually?
First of all, as you said, as it was said in the report, that this exhibition was after an initiative by Egypt. Egypt has made an excellent comeback to Africa. Egypt has a responsibility towards all the African states, and this exhibition comes very much within the same context. So Egypt does not and will not spare any effort to help African states in development, whether by selling Egyptian products into the market at reasonable prices and acceptable quality, investment in different countries, in different industries, executing infrastructure and mega projects in different countries, exporting technology, Egyptian technology, into Africa. So, as I say, this exhibition is very important, but being sponsored again or organized by the African Exim Bank, that means that the bank is behind any collaboration or cooperation between any two African states. So I think that the presence of Egypt is imperative, is very important, and will do very good for Egypt in general.
Yes, well, sir, the Ministry of Trade and Industry said that Cairo is keen on enforcing its pivotal role in Africa by strengthening trade ties and investment relations with the rest of the African states. Now, how do you weigh the importance of strengthening trade ties among the different African states?
Very, very important. As a matter of fact, Africa is moving into an African Union as per the example of the European Union. So, of course, it will take a lot of time to be implemented, but at least we are taking steps in this direction. We are signing free trade agreements, free transit agreements, maritime agreements, to link all the different African states one another. Of course, for Egypt, Africa is the mother continent. It is a very important part of the world as far as Egypt is concerned, and it is to Egyptian benefit to improve the African continent from all points of view. Of course, if we're talking a little bit more elaborately, we can talk about establishing the sustainable development projects in different countries, aiming to lessen or even ban, stop the illegal immigration and offer to the African youth. As we know, of course, the population of Africa is mostly youth, offering them jobs in their own countries to prevent them from taking their chances and illegally immigrate to other countries, which will cause them harm and the countries they're going to another harm. So, from all aspects, this kind of exhibitions, this kind of fairs are very important to everybody, to countries receiving and to countries giving.
Yes, Dr. Ghaffar, transferring modern technology among African states is being introduced as one of the most important angles in boosting intra-African trade. Now, how would you elaborate on the importance of introducing modern technology?
The world cannot go on without modern technology. This is, it goes without saying that we have to be always updated with all the available improvements and technologies all over the world. And I think that Egypt has adopted some of the international European technologies and American and East Asian technologies, and has developed her own technology within. And of course, exporting technology and exchanging expertise with African states is one of the major aspirations to Egypt. And I think that also all African states are welcoming technologies coming from Egypt, because it is simple, in my opinion, and it is not that complicated and be easily adaptable by nations developing. So, of course, exporting technology coming from within Egypt is very important, or transferring even technology that Egypt has adopted from foreign states, foreign countries to African ones is again extremely important for both sides.
Yes, sir, how important is economic integration and trade integration among the different African states, in your opinion?
Extremely important. Africa is a very rich continent. It has a lot of natural and mineral resources, and it's only a matter of exploiting it the right way and the best way. And I think that the integration comes from here. We can use the resources and transform the raw materials into value-added products, and then start to introduce them to different markets. So integration is a must, and I think that that Africa is qualified to do so, because it has both. From one side, it is very wealthy as far as minerals, as far as natural resources are concerned, and in the same time, it has the manpower that can work on transforming these resources, and of course, having the African Exim Bank behind, then the financial resources can be again found, and the whole thing can work out beautifully. So the integration, of course, is something that we all aspire to.
Yes. Sir, how has the coronavirus affected the African trade and economic status so far, the economic outlook of the African continent?
Well, it has affected the whole world, not only Africa. But Africa, unfortunately, being not as rich as the other parts of the world, was more affected. But again, and that explains, I mean, the first exhibition was in 2018, and the second one is after 3 years. I think if it were not about for the COVID, we would have had maybe 1 or 2 more of such exhibitions. So in any event, of course, the COVID has affected Africa strongly, and I think that the role that Egypt played during this pandemic was exemplary, and now that we are, talking to financial institutions to give up some of their loans towards Africa, to increase their aid to African states to overcome the crisis. Now we are manufacturing our own vaccine, and I think that one of our aims is to provide the vaccines at reasonable cost, if not free, to all African states. So although the COVID, of course, slowed down the process in Africa particularly, but again, we managed to, work through this crisis, and hopefully things will get better, and we can continue our efforts towards our African brothers and sisters.
Yes. Well, Dr. Raouf, what are Africa's most attractive investment fields?
I think that Africa, as I said, is full of resources. So I think that so many mineral resources exist. So if we can work these minerals out, we can transform them into, as I said, semi-finished or even finished products. That would represent an extra wealth to the African country. So investments in different industries based on minerals, that can be very, very beneficial to Africa. Africa has a lot of natural resources. Let me give you an example. For instance, if we exploit the amount of water and rain falling on a country like Congo, for instance, to generate power and electricity, I think that with huge investments, I understand, but if we start slowly, I think that we can produce electricity that can cover the globe, the whole earth. So, these kind of resources are available, and they were badly or not even exploited at all. So they need only just some attention, and it will be a very wealthy result for Africa, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Raouf Ghaffar, our political analyst. Many thanks for your insights, sir. And dear viewers, now we move back to our special reports. It's been over 20 months since the World Health Organization announced COVID-19 as a global health emergency and pandemic, with trillions of dollars wiped out from the global tourism economy. More details in this report.
It is estimated that the resulting reductions in travel in 2020 alone due to COVID-19 wiped $4.5 trillion from the global tourism economy and cost millions of jobs. In Africa, half of all the people working in tourism lost their jobs. A recent United Nations Conference on Trade and Development report estimates a further $1.7 to $2.4 trillion could be lost from the global tourism sector by the end of 2021. In Africa, these losses are projected at $170 to $253 billion. Tourism is an important source of funding for managing protected areas and provides jobs for people living near national parks and wildlife. When travel to protected and conserved areas such as national parks and community conservancies is cancelled en masse, jobs and conservation management are placed at risk. Overwhelmingly, the majority of Africa's protected areas, both private and public, took a massive blow from the collapse in tourism. In South Africa, lockdowns caused a 96% drop in tourist visits to national parks under Sam Park's management. This equated to about 90% of tourism revenue, highlighting the fragility and risk of a sector that's reliant on a single primary income stream. This also caused anxiety about health and job security among park staff. In Uganda also, national parks typically generate 88% of the revenue from tourist entrance fees. A collapse in tourism visitation between July and December 2020 erased roughly $1.4 million from the Uganda Wildlife Authority's annual budget.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And in South Africa demanded on Monday that a 2022 World Cup qualifier against Ghana be replayed after a controversial penalty cost them an African playoff slot. More details.
Ghana and South Africa finished level on points and goal difference, and the Black Stars won the section because they scored 7 goals, one more than Bafana, the boys, over 6 matches. South African Football Association Chief Executive Tebogo Motlanthe told reporters as he slammed the refereeing of Senegalese Maguete Ndiaye said, "Justice needs to be served and the match replayed." In a 2018 World Cup qualifier, a wrongly awarded penalty helped South Africa defeat Senegal, who successfully appealed to FIFA for a replay and won it to help reach the finals in Russia. The VAR, Video Assistant Referee system, is not being used for African World Cup qualifiers, but will be utilized for all 52 matches at the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon from January 9. FIFA President Gianni Infantino told CAF officials last year that he would like to create a panel of African referees paid by the world governing body. He stressed they will stand or fall on their performances. However, there has been no move toward creating a panel to handle World Cup, Cup of Nations and CAF club competitions matches.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and with that final report we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.